Hi, everybody. Welcome in to The Light. I am your host, Marissa, and today we are going to continue to shed light on the ongoing investigation into the disappearance of Melodee Buzzard, a 9-year-old out of California who's gone missing and her mother has been uncooperative. FBI has now stepped in to assist with the investigation, and there's a lot of updates going on in this case. We're going to jump right into the reporting, starting with the local news coverage from KSBY, where they've done an interview with Ashlee Buzzard's own mother. Let's jump right in.
I'm Christopher Bermudez, your community reporter in Vandenberg Village. It's been nearly a week since 9-year-old Melodee Buzzard was reported missing. On Monday, I sat down with her grandmother, who is speaking out publicly for the first time. She shares with me warning signs in Melodee's mother's mental health and also shares a deeply personal message that she hopes her granddaughter will hear. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine.
My name is Crystal. Are you Lori?
Yes.
Hi, Lori. I'm with KSBY News. I've been following along. I can come inside. Lori Miranda says she first learned her granddaughter was missing when law enforcement called asking if she knew where the child was.
He said, "Did you know that your granddaughter was missing?" And I said, "Missing?" He goes, "When's the last time you talked to your daughter?" I said, "I don't know, 2 years, a year and a half ago."
The search for Melodee began last week when authorities were notified about her extended absence from an independent studies program. Investigators say her mother, Ashlee Buzzard, has not been cooperating and will not say where her daughter is. Miranda says Ashlee's mental state had drastically declined since 2016, raising red flags around the time Melodee was 6 months old. Miranda said she was planning to drop by her daughter's house when Melodee was only an.
Remember, 6 months old. That's the same time that Melodee's birth father passed away from the motorcycle accident. I wonder if that had anything to do with maybe triggering a mental health event for her.
Infant. That's when she got a call from authorities.
About 15 minutes later, a sheriff calls me. He says, "I'm at your daughter's house in Orchid, and I was just getting ready to take your granddaughter Melodee with me to CPS because we're getting ready to take your daughter to the hospital."
When Miranda arrived, she says the house was a mess.
Couldn't believe it was my daughter. I mean, the house was in disarray. There were raw eggs in pans. There was rotten food in the fridge that I think she was trying to give my granddaughter.
Still, she claims Ashlee struggles mentally.
Everybody's dragging her around when she should be at the hospital. And you should be talking to her there instead of everybody rattling her cage and then trying to act like they're trying to help.
In this latest investigation involving Melodee's disappearance, investigators believe Ashlee drove her daughter to Nebraska in a white Chevy Malibu earlier this month, more than 1,070 miles from her current Vandenberg Village home, before returning to California.
We want the public to think back to the 7th to the 14th. Did you see a mom and a daughter in this vehicle?
Miranda says she has family as far as Ohio, but does not know anyone in Nebraska. Because this case crosses state lines, the FBI is now assisting.
If we have circumstances that indicate that there was something else criminal that has occurred in the process of that, then, it of course shifts. But as of right now, we are searching for a missing person.
Miranda showed me a gift she wanted to give Melodee on her 9th birthday back in February.
The psychologist that I was seeing said, I said, "Should I be keeping these things? I keep buying them for her for Christmas and her birthday." She said, "If you keep them for her, she'll know that when she was gone, you were thinking about her." So that's why I keep them. But sometimes I wonder, am I going next, right?
Oh,
And this was her message to Melodee.
"Please tell somebody I'm Melodee Buzzard. My grandma Luna is looking for me. Please call the police."
If you have seen Melodee, Ashlee, or the white Chevy Malibu they were seen driving in between October 7th and October 14th, you're asked to contact the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office. Investigators are also asking those who know anyone in Nebraska to share images of Melodee in an effort to locate her. In Vandenberg Village, Christopher Bermudez, case.
that gives a lot of insight from Ashlee's own mother into her mental health, right? Her mental state of the past. And we have seen some examples where Ashlee's cut off people from her life, right? Doesn't seem like she has friends. She didn't want to talk to the family on Melodee's father's side she cut off. And now we're hearing from the mother who hasn't spoken to her in nearly 2 years, right? So that says a lot. Although, if people were aware too that she struggled with mental health so much in such a fragile way, um, you would hope there would have been just more flares going off as to why is she able to take care of a child if she struggles to take care of herself, and it says a lot when her mom is talking about that they should be questioning her in a hospital. That's essentially the level of care she needs. That's how fragile she is, her mental state. So I know there's been people that have been going outside of the house across the street and, out there with you can see a sign here and stuff. That could be incredibly, and mind you, I'm not a professional, right, in this area, psychology, but that could be incredibly dangerous or harmful to somebody in such a fragile state. So I'm hoping that authorities, are listening to her mom and family members about this and making sure they have the right people there to approach this in the best way possible so that we can get the information that's needed, right? The goal is to find Melodee. Where is Melodee? Is she somewhere else? Did something happen? Because the only person that knows is Ashlee. So they need to make sure that they can approach Ashlee and handle her the best way possible. And this kind of information is crucial as to how they're going to do that approach. So let's go into Nancy Grace. She has picked up the story and she has gone into, there's a lot of updates in this one. I have not seen them all, so we're going to go through them right now. Let's get into it.
News tonight, the bizarre disappearance of a little girl, Melodee, just 9 years old. Melodee has not been seen in a year, but only just reported missing. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
Sorry.
About missing Melodee, 9 years old. Control room, yes, show me her photo. Look at this gorgeous little girl. Look at that smile. Look at that beautiful curly hair. How could she be gone a year and just reported missing? Or was she? Before I go to our panel, I want to go to a special guest joining us tonight. It's Elizabeth Mesa. This is Melodee's aunt. Miss Mesa, thank you so much for being with us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
I'm so grateful that someone in Melodee's family is speaking out on her behalf. There she is. I recognize that outfit. That's a Dorothy outfit from Wizard of Oz. Must be a little Halloween or a costume
My
party
daughter
of some
wore that
sort.
costume
Look
when
at
she
this
was
little
little
girl,
too.
guys.
Same exact
Have
one.
you seen her? Tip line 805-681-4150. Repeat, 805-681-4150. Straight back out to Elizabeth Mesa joining us. This is Melodee's aunt. Miss Mesa, how can this be? I don't understand how a child cannot be seen for a year and only just being reported missing. But is that accurate? Isn't it true Melodee was homeschooled?
Yes, so when we found out last Tuesday, the investigator reached out and was asking questions and, about her whereabouts. So to hear that she was missing was completely mind-blowing, and to find out she was homeschooled by the mom, and the last time anybody seen her was a year, and then it turned out to be 2 months ago was the last time that the school had seen her. So the timeline was very sketchy, and mom is not giving any information at all.
Speaking of mom, are you or is anyone within the family in touch with the mom?
So she answered the door for my niece Karina, which is Melodee's sister on her dad's side. She opened the door and answered very little questions, but as far as anybody else, no, she will not answer anybody. She will not answer the door. She will not answer questions.
Now, what do you mean she answered the door, but she wouldn't answer question?
I know it sounds weird, Nancy, but she stood there very stoic with a very stone look on her face. And my niece asked her, "Where's Melodee? If she's okay." And she said, "Why now? Why now?" And my niece said, "Well, we couldn't get a hold of you. We had no address. We had no phone number." And she said, "Well, there's a reason for that." And my niece just kept.
There's a reason you don't have her contact information, her phone number, where she lives, but then at the same time you're saying, why now? So which one is it? Did you want them around? Like, you didn't give them information where you were? You see, though, I mean, just those two sentences doesn't, she didn't say much. Those two things alone contradict each other. And what does that have to, this is about Melodee. It's not about her. It's about involvement with Melodee. But like, if you're keeping them away from her, how could you say, why now?
Kept asking her, "Is Melodee okay? Are you okay?" And she said, "I hope you and your kids are well." And she shut the door.
So you got nothing out of her. Guys,
bizarre.
we're showing
Nothing.
you shots of Melodee right now. She's been missing.
Cold.
We don't know how long.
It's really cold.
We're not sure she actually is missing. But I do know this. Again, guys, with me, family member Elizabeth Mesa joining us. This is her aunt. A staffer at her elementary school realized that Melodee had not been there, or, well, she's homeschooled, but they have these little programs that the homeschool children take part in, right? And so the school doesn't see her every day like you would a child enrolled in regular school. But when Melodee had missed several of these get-togethers with the homeschool children, you know, like field trips to the planetarium or the zoo, the staffers at the elementary school got concerned. And that is when it all came bubbling up. So to you, Miss Mesa, again, thank you for being with us, because we've tried really hard to get in touch with family members. When did you first realize Melodee was missing?
So we first realized or found out last Tuesday. I believe that was the 14th, when the CWS investigator called me asking if I know her whereabouts. And I had asked him, "Is my niece okay?" And he told me, "I can't answer that because it's an open investigation." And he said, "We're just looking for her whereabouts." And I gave him all the information that I knew, and I let him know that the last time physically we seen her, the family, was about 4.5 years ago, when her mom brought her to my mother-in-law's house for us to see her. And at that time, Nancy, she was acting very strange. She had shaved her head down. I mean, she had like a buzz cut, and she had a hoodie on. The mom, Ashlee, did. And she was acting very strange. And my mother-in-law had told her, if you want to leave her here, she could stay here, because she was playing with my kids. And Ashlee looked and she said, "I can't do this." And she grabbed her and they left. And that was the last time that we seen her.
Wow.
And isn't it true, Miss Mesa, you guys have a really big family, a big loving family, and everybody wants to take care of Melodee, but the mom wouldn't let you.
Yes, that's correct. My husband, his family is very large. I mean, and so loving and opening. And Karina is her sister.
Just things going through my mind right now, right? Not really knowing. We haven't heard yet Ashlee's mental health prior to having a child. I'm sure somebody can speak to the history there in family or friends prior, but I'm wondering how much of the grief of losing Melodee's father has played into her mental health. Grief can take a toll, not just mentally and emotionally, but physically as well on people, right? There's people that, I'm sure you've heard, there's people that truly die of a broken heart after losing a loved one that they're so close with. So something I'm just thinking, I wonder if at that family get together, when she was there and just left, was being around the family too much for her? Because she's seeing everyone that reminds her of Melodee's father and everyone looking like them, and he's not there. And maybe this triggered this intense grief or sorrow within her. Again, this is just me speculating and just thinking out loud, right? Because I like to try to find out, why do people do things? Why are they driven to things? What is the background? It's just a thought of mine. Was it hard being around family? Um, but how sad, because right, we're also hearing that there's a huge family on Melodee's father's side that wanted to be around her, that had kids to play with her, and they just wanted to share their love. So it's really sad that that was the last time they saw her.
So like I said, on her dad's side, her dad passed away 9 years ago in a tragic motorcycle accident, and she's always wanted a relationship
Are you talking about
with her
Rubiel?
sister. Yes, my brother-in-law Rubiel.
Melodee's dad, Rubiel, died in a motorcycle crash, and that was 2016. So
Yes.
it's just her and the mom. Now, was Melodee always homeschooled?
Well, we just found that out, Nancy. We had no contact with her. Like I said, the last time we were informed that she was removed from the mother's care, and we all tried to, get her. She could be with me. She could be with, whoever they would allow her to be. And then she was finally able to be placed with my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and they had her for quite some time. I don't know exactly how long. And then the state came back and they removed her, and they told us that she was going to be adopted by the family that had her before, or something like that. It was just so.
Wait, so she was removed, and prior to her being placed with family, she was with another family before that considered adopting her. So when was Melodee removed from Ashlee's care? At what point? Like, this is huge information. She's been removed and then placed with one family and then an actual family member. But let's keep going. But red flags, right? We've got a child removed from a home and put back in at some point.
Off. They wouldn't give information either. And then we didn't hear from her again.
But she was not adopted. Hold on just a moment. Joining me right now is Sydney Sumner, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Now, let me understand, Sydney. She was going to certain classes at the elementary school, but I also have, that would be Buena Vista, but I also have information that she had been homeschooled, but would go to optional in-person classes and activities. Can you clear it up very quickly, Sydney?
Right. So this is all from the same school district, the Lompoc Unified School District. So Melodee was enrolled at Buena Vista Elementary for a year, first grade, and then the year after that, she was then enrolled in this independent study, a homeschool program through the Mission Valley Independent Study Program. So this is backed by the school district, and this is what she's been in for the last 2 years. So she was enrolled 2 years ago for the 24 to 25 school year, and that newest sighting that we've just heard about, she re-enrolled in that program in August, and the administrator who enrolled her in that program again saw Melodee in August when they enrolled for this homeschool program.
So if the administrator saw Melodee at the beginning of August, we've now narrowed the gap to August, September, October. 3 months. 3 months.
We know now it's about
But
October
according
7th.
to others, she has not been seen by anyone else for a year, but she did show up according to the school administrator. But straight back out to Melodee's aunt, Elizabeth Meza. What was Melodee's demeanor when you last saw her?
Oh, last time we seen her, she was so happy. She was playful. She was just so excited to be around family, and she was just smiling and just so excited. It was great to have her around, and her beautiful smile just lit up the room, and she was just, a happy, loving child.
Now, we've been told that Melodee was kind of passed off to live with a friend, but no one can confirm whether that's true or not. Do you know anything about that, Miss Mesa?
Yeah, that's what we were told, that she was with a friend, but we can't get any information on what friend. You know, we just
If that's the case, like, does Ashlee not understand? Her being passed off with a friend, that might have been a safety outlet for her, that she couldn't take care of Melodee and said, you know what, I need help. I have a friend that is able to care for her safely, hopefully a trusted person, that is such a better path than what we are thinking, considering, like, not knowing all the things that's going on, to just like say nothing. In what way is that helpful? If that's the case, then share who the friend is. Where is she? Then just say where she is. The most important thing is everybody wants to know that Melodee is okay, safe, and well. Produce the child. That's what's being asked. It's not hard. It's your child. I get mind boggled over a parent that cannot put their child first. And I know we're talking that there's some serious mental health issues here. I just can't fathom. I can't fathom. I do anything for my child. I have, and I doesn't matter what age, will continue. But are we making up a story, or is there truth to it? But just say something. Why is this got to be so hard?
the mom didn't have much friends when I knew her. When she was living with my mother-in-law, she never mentioned any friends. It was, she had a daughter that was taken away and given to the father, and I mean, she just had us, and that was it.
She had another daughter taken away. Is that what I just heard?
The mom that.
Wait, are you telling me Melodee's mother has had another child taken away?
Yes, another daughter was taken away and given to the father to be raised.
Okay, so was she taken, the other child taken away by the state, or was she taken away, just given away to the family?
Yeah.
No, to my knowledge, from what Ashlee had told me when I was talking to her, is that the state took her and gave her to the father. She was removed from her custody.
Okay, was that a different dad? Was that Rubiel or a different dad?
No, that's a different dad. Yeah, that's a different dad.
That's major information. This is the first time that we're hearing that there was another child, another daughter born. And we don't know anything else about it. The questions in my mind, was that child removed immediately? Was that like an upon birth and given to the father? Did the father ask for custody or fight for that immediately? Did Ashlee willingly hand the child over to the father for custody? I mean, that's huge. That's huge, especially if Melodee somehow was taken away and put back in Ashlee's custody, but another child had already been removed. I mean, it's a field of red flags, right? Of whether a parent can care for a child or not, and how we put children back in the care of their legal guardians, whoever. That, how are we making sure that they're going back into a safe place?
Gotcha. Because I know Rubiel passed away in 2016. One other question. Is it true that Melodee's mom crashed her car with Melodee in the car?
Yes, she sure did.
And so here's this little girl alone with a mom.
It just keeps coming on the info.
Who, according to some sources, intentionally crashed her car with the baby in it. Do you think that car crash was intentional?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. She was very erratic and just emotional, and yeah, she crashed it on purpose.
She's not able
to make
decisions.
Melodee,
Why does she
tonight,
have a
what
kid
is your
in her care?
message if she can hear you, Elizabeth?
Melodee, just want to let her know that we love her. She has a lot of family, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandmas, sisters, that we love her, and we just want her home. And she is loved, and it is okay, and we just want her home safe.
Hi, guys. The Fed has finally dropped interest rates, and that is great
We
news.
can skip that.
And good luck.
Melodee had no longer attended elementary school, but was homeschooled by her mother in Lompoc, California. But concerns escalated when her former school alerted authorities, flagging a prolonged and unexplained absence.
A road trip odyssey. Mommy taking little Melodee on a 1,500-mile road trip. Going where? Why? Where did they stop? Now investigators will have to follow that route, if they can ascertain it, to look for Melodee. Tonight, where is this little girl? According to some reports, she has not been seen since she was a little over 7 years old. Where is Melodee? Please help us find this girl. We just spoke to her aunt, and the news is distressing. This child has been homeschooled through Mission Valley Independent School Program. But the problem with that in this case is that she began missing the optional visits, the in-person classes and activities. Where is she? Why did the school have to report her missing? But tonight, where is Melodee? Listen.
Buena Vista Elementary School alerts authorities Melodee Buzzard has not been seen for some time, causing concern among staff. Melodee enrolled in a homeschool program that also hosts optional in-person classes and activities. The last time anyone saw Melodee at one of those events was more than a year ago.
Joining us tonight, special guest Raquel Zick, PIO, Public Information Officer, Santa Barbara County Sheriff's. Raquel, thank you for being with us. Raquel, what's the latest?
So what investigators are sharing today is that they've located information that shows that Ashlee was with Melodee as recently as October 7th, and that they may have driven from the Lompoc area as far as the state of Nebraska. We understand.
So we have a shortened timeline, but a much broader scope when it comes to the possibilities of where Melodee could be, all the way to Nebraska now.
And that she had rented a vehicle, a white Chevy Malibu, and we are providing that license plate information to the public in case anybody saw Melodee or Ashlee together in that vehicle. We do also want to point out that it is a rental car and that it's no longer in Ashlee's possession. We know that the trip was from Lompoc to around the Nebraska area. We're not sure, that where Melodee may or may not have been along portions of that trip. But we do know that that's where the trip started, extended to, and then returned back to Lompoc. We are seeing a lot of people that are showing up at the residence, especially people who are kind of concerned, wanting to conduct their own searches and their own investigations. And we really want to encourage the public to just kind of share information with law enforcement as opposed to conducting your own investigation, and just kind of warn that, that some of this stuff could possibly impede our investigation or interfere. And we know that the public is very adamant and passionate about helping to locate Melodee, and we very much appreciate that. But we're, again, encouraging people not to have that result in a community-led investigation.
Raquel, what is Santa Barbara Sheriff's doing to find Melodee?
Detectives did already conduct a thorough search of the family's residence, and that was before we issued the initial press release. So we've already been through the residence. As a result of that search, we are continuing a search for a missing person. This is not a homicide case. The hope and the goal is that we find Melodee alive and that we can ensure her safety.
Joining me now, an all-star panel to make sense of what we have just learned, to Dr. Bethany Marshall, a psychoanalyst out of LA, author of Deal Breaker. You can see her on Peacock and find her at drbethanymarshall.com. Dr. Bethany, here's my concern. If the mom allegedly crashed her car intentionally with the child in it. That's a concern. Why
Yeah.
is the child still there? How many times is it going to happen where the child stays in a home where there is a danger and then the child goes missing and we can't find her? I mean,
Like a criminal charge
what do you make of it, Dr. Bethany?
in other
You know,
scenarios?
not only that, but apparently the child was placed in another loving family home, relatives' homes, but then was taken back out again. And what is that all about? The fact that a family member knocked on the door and then the mother said, "Why are you here just now?" or something to that effect, tells me just how sort of self-referential and self-centered the mother is, lost in her own world. It makes me wonder about impulsivity, aggression. To me, Nancy, what is most important in all of this is the mother's lack of empathy towards the missing child.
Well, following up on what you're saying, Dr. Bethany Marshall, the aunt and the niece have tried to speak to her. The Santa Barbara sheriffs have tried to speak with her, and she won't talk about the child. I mean, come on, Dr. Bethany, you have to tell me to stop talking about the twins. And that's the way it is with most moms that I know. But when you can't get the mom to say anything about the child, that's a concern.
You know, think about what moms do for their kids. Not only do they talk about them, they show pictures of them, they dress them up, they take them to play dates, but they foster relationships between their child and other family members. I always think of that as a primary role of a mother or as a parent, dads too. And so when this little girl is at grandma's house playing with her cousins, and then the mother snatches her and takes her away, this is a mother who either wanted the child all to herself, didn't want to share, or didn't want this little girl to give out information to the other kids.
Many people, many agencies trying to find out where is Melodee.
We haven't seen her in over 4 years due to the mother not allowing the family to see her.
Santa Barbara sheriffs attempt a welfare check but find no one at Ashlee Buzzard's home on Mars Avenue, Vandenberg Village. Officers returned the next day, finally making contact with Melodee's mom. Melodee is not at home, and according to sheriffs, Buzzard cannot provide a clear explanation of Melodee's whereabouts.
Joining me, investigative reporter out of LA with crimeonline.com, Alexis Tereszczuk. Alexis, this is giving me a horrible flashback. That sound you just heard from our friends at KSBY. Listen, Alexis.
On November 26, 2019, police go to Lori Vallow's Rexburg townhome to conduct a welfare check on her son, JJ Vallow. JJ's grandparents, Kay and Larry Woodcock, are concerned as they have not heard from JJ in months. Vallow tells the officers JJ is safe in Arizona, staying with a friend, Melanie Gibbs, who also has a son with autism. The next day, police returned to serve a warrant and discovered that Vallow and Chad Daybell moved out and left town. Melanie Gibbs later contacts police to tell them JJ was never with her.
Alexis Tereszczuk, you and I lived through the cult mom Lori Vallow saga, the debacle, where the children were missing. And I know you recall us following Nate Eaton from IdahoNews.com, chasing Lori Vallow to the ends of the earth, trying to find the children. At that point, we could see his hand in the picture, and he was yelling, "Where are the children?" Where she had followed her to Hawaii. Remember that? And when they first started looking for JJ and Tylee, they went back they couldn't get a good answer. They went back with a warrant the next day, and cult mom Lori Vallow had cleared out. And the children were dead. They had been dead.
And I think that's what everybody is fearing here, because when the mom, in all the cases that you and I have covered, when the parent has lost a child has been taken, they're missing, they immediately call the police. They do everything they can to help find her. They start Facebook pages. They ask anybody that's ever known her to share anything. That is not happening here. Melodee's mom is not sharing any information about her. And as her relative said, she's not even answering the door. She won't let people in. Your child was missing. You'd invite people in. You'd say, look, here's her toy. Is there a dog that could
Well, you would tell someone.
Follow her scent somewhere around our house?
The only reason
None of
anyone
that is
showed up is
happening
because
here.
of
She is
school.
not doing anything to share any information about her daughter.
Lori, Nate Eaton with East Idaho News. Can you tell me where your kids are? Where are your kids?
No comment.
No comment? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say? You're over here in Hawaii? Where are your children?
JJ was not seen again until June 9th of 2020, when he was also found in a shallow grave on the defendant's property. JJ was found wrapped in garbage bags with duct tape around him. He had duct tape around his head. He had duct tape around his arms, taping them into a position like this. That's how the defendant's little boy was found.
First, that was from East Idaho News, and that was Prosecutor Lindsay A. Blake in her opening statement in the case against cult mom Lori Vallow. Again, joining us an all-star panel in addition to Alexis Tereszchuk and little Melodee's aunt. You know, to Rhonda DeCare joining us. You know her well. She's the founder of Missing in Action Network. It's an advocacy program for families of missing people, and she has conducted many, many searches for missing children. Rhonda, thank you for being with us. It's never good when mommy won't say where the baby is.
Right, it isn't. We've seen it too many times. And other people having to report your child missing, it doesn't ever end up good.
In this case, I'm trying to figure out to Bill Garcia, owner of Bill Garcia Investigative Services, where we need to go with this. Bill, what now? I'd start with a search warrant at mommy's place. That's the first place I'd start.
Well, I happened to be on the ground over the last couple of days, trying to get acclimated to the area and
I still speculate, it's full speculation here, that she may have a storage unit the 3-minute drive away. And I think that's why she wrecked the car through entering that way. And I hope they look into that, because she's in a house. Why would you need a storage? If she has a storage unit, for what purpose? You have a whole home. Look at that whole garage. You have plenty of space.
To learn any possible leads. And I did canvass the neighborhood. I spoke to a neighbor who had firsthand experience at actually seeing the child, she claims, within the last 30 days. Law enforcement has that information. They have their security camera footage from that time period, as long as others. One thing I found is there's a lot of security cameras in that area. This particular witness to seeing the child has 2 different security systems, and they actually shine right onto the neighbors on Ashlee's property. So my suspicion right now, the most important information is that camera footage, because that would indicate when she was last seen, whether she was seen taken in the vehicle or not.
Possible.
I also learned some other items that were kind of disturbing. For instance, they spent a lot of time at home, no visitors. Apparently, according to this witness, Ashlee did not have a vehicle, and the vehicle that was last seen was actually a rental vehicle.
She used rental.
So that's another important clue to follow, because now law enforcement can get a search warrant for that vehicle so that they can track GPS as they can with telephones and license plate reader cameras. There's not really any indication.
Bill, got a question for you. You stated that
Go
she
ahead.
doesn't have a car, and the last car that she did have was a rental car. How long ago was that?
That was within the week. Apparently, she returned it on either Thursday or Friday. There's also a possibility it may have been taken and impounded for evidence, or to search for evidence. But we don't know when she actually obtained it. But she has not had a vehicle in quite some time, according to a neighbor.
Well, right there, that's a very strong lead, Bill Garcia, because unlike, a lot of cars, we never know if there's a nav system in them, a satellite system. But if you've got a rental car, then we know there's going to be a nav system in there.
Correct.
I'm just trying to figure out about this, as you said, a potential sighting within the last 30 days. Tell me about that.
Basically,
Yeah, it should be easier to get, I would think, the records with the rental car, right? Um, and on top of that, they're going to have security footage, hopefully. I mean, depending on how long they keep their footage, right? But if they have access to that, they'll have footage of when she's come and go, and did she come with the child, leave with the child when she returned the vehicle. That will help with the timeline of things.
The witness is a very close neighbor. She didn't want to go on camera. She didn't want to have her name used, but she has been in contact with law enforcement. She says some disturbing things. For instance, when Ashlee would come out of the house to go to the garage, because there is no interior door from the house into the garage, Ashlee would come out the front door. She would lock the security door behind her, go into the garage, do whatever she was going to do, laundry or what have you, and then walk back into the house, having to unlock the door, indicating that the child was actually in the house the entire time. And this happens numerous times. Other things that were interesting is no yelling, no loud noises, no visitors, had their food or the groceries delivered by Walmart directly to the home.
She doesn't have a
What
car.
concerns me the most right now is that law enforcement needs to be on top of these devices to be able to track where she has been. Since she didn't have her own vehicle, there's going to be limited times when she had a rental vehicle.
Mhm.
So it will be somewhat easier to track those periods, as well as her telephone if she had it active or with her. Yesterday, when I tried to contact Ashlee, the neighbor who I had been talking to extensively said, "Oh, she's there." As I walked up to the house, I noticed that the garage door was open. The neighbor said that garage doors have been open for the last 3 days. There's numerous boxes throughout the garage that appear to be open and in disarray, according to the neighbor that was searched by law enforcement. But she has not been seen in the last 3 days. And this is by a neighbor that I believe is keeping a close eye on the situation. So without getting some kind of...
I have an understanding this weekend when people were outside the home that even I believe the police came by and were trying to say, hey, she's not here, she hasn't been here, whatever. And to counter that, the people outside were like, oh no, she's home. Yeah, she may not know that her garage door is open, but she had been burning a fire inside because there was smoke coming out. And not only was there smoke coming out, but she's burning something with paper because like pieces of paper were flying out of it. So they're like, no, she's home, which, I mean, if they're keeping an eye on her, you would think that the cops could verify, know where she is or isn't. So again, burning something though with paper, not sure what that's about, but normal, sure, you can burn things, documents or whatever, people do that, but the timing of things is going to make it suspicious, of course.
kind of a direct indication from Ashlee of where Melodee should be, it's going to be much more difficult. But again, law enforcement needs to get on top of those devices and get some kind of a timeline.
Okay, Bill, question. You stated that there is a potential sighting in the last 3 days. Is that what you said?
30 days in the last 30 days.
30. Okay, I heard 30 on one occasion and 3 on another occasion. When she was spotted 30 days ago, are we sure it was her? What was she doing and where was she?
She would have been in the front yard, according to the neighbor. The neighbor's not sure if they actually left in the rental vehicle, but they would have had a vehicle, not unsure if it was that same rental vehicle or a different one. So she was seen in the front yard. According to this neighbor, the child was rarely seen outdoors. When she was with her mother. She didn't seem to play with any of the neighborhood kids, didn't seem to have any kind of reaction with anybody outside of her mother.
She has a beautiful smile. She's very friendly, very loving, very welcoming. She loved to be around her family.
Melodee Buzzard is just 6 months old when her father passes away in a car crash. Melodee is described as a very sweet and loving little girl who loves spending time with her cousins and flashing her beautiful smile. Melodee's father's family hasn't seen the little girl in years.
American homeowners, the FBI has been.
When officers arrived at their home, they discovered Melodee hadn't been seen or heard from in a year.
Joining us tonight, high-profile lawyer Lauren Johnson Norris, defense attorney specializing in juvenile and CPS cases. Lauren, thank you for being with us. Lauren, when you are homeschooling a child, doesn't the state have some duty to keep up with what's happening?
Absolutely. Not only does the school have an obligation to make sure that the right paperwork is filed and that the child is participating in the curriculum, but if this was a CPS supervised case, that court needs to know that that child is receiving the educational needs and their rights are being protected by their parents. So all of this should have been supervised by government. It just should have been monitored.
If that's the case, okay? Mind you, I don't know anything about the standards and parameters of what homeschooling requirements are, and it apparently varies state by state. And I'm here in California, and how in the world does somebody like Ashlee, who has a history of mental health, documented mental health struggles, kids taken away from her, Melodee put back in the home at some point, but she then goes to like, where do we keep track of a record that says you're capable of providing an education or not? Because the only way I could see Melodee getting an education via homeschooling is if that curriculum was something online that she was following or teachers online. Because one person, if there, prove me wrong, comment below. Is there a single person who thinks that Ashlee Buzzard was capable of homeschooling curriculum to Melodee when she was clearly not capable of taking care of herself very well? How in the world was she providing an education to this child? A child who's not even being seen outdoors, mind you, right? So you could do science outdoors in your backyard, could you not? Go explore nature, like go out and do things. I think that great aspect of the program was that they had these social events, right? And it was a good way for them to check in with the kids and the families. And you need that social aspect, right? When you're raising kids, it's to join society and the world, and like your social emotional intelligence is so important. You need to interact with others. It's a huge learning, especially at this age, right? The kid's never outside. What education was she getting? Was she getting an education? Is there any way that that's tested? Is she, are their goals being met? What does that look like? And if you've done homeschooling in California, please chime in. I would love to know more. I don't know anything about it. And by all means, this is nothing against homeschooling. If there are people you're able to homeschool and that works for you and your family, that's amazing, right? I always say make sure you have that social component. It seems like there's a lot of great groups that do that, these outings. That sounds phenomenal. Not everybody can do that, though. Let's be real. Not everyone is capable of homeschooling, especially if they have to provide the curriculum. Maybe if it's something else where you're logging in and essentially you're helping instruct and all that, but to say, hi, I'm responsible for the curriculum and advancing my child to the next whatever they need to in life, there's some people that are simply just not capable of doing that. And that's a disservice to the children, is it not? Because from what I'm hearing at this point, this child's not going outside. We don't know what education she's getting. Her home sounds like a prison. She was jailed in her home without interacting with other people. Even if you have groceries delivered, right? So you're not even going to a grocery store, just interacting with others. You're completely isolated. And what that will do to a child is harmful. That alone. Sorry, let's get off my soapbox right now. Let's keep going.
Thinking about this program that the school offers, and that is, I'm sure you're familiar with it, Lauren Johnson Norris. Homeschool children have optional opportunities to go on trips with the school, participate in certain classes at the school. And it seems that she was doing that a year ago, but then kind of fell out. And I'm trying to understand how carefully the state monitors homeschool children. For instance, the Turpin family. Remember all the Turpin children? I think there were 9 of them. And outwardly, they would be photoed in matching T-shirts and at events. But at home, they were starved and beaten and locked in their room and tortured. They were actually handcuffed, and they were homeschooled. So exactly what is the state supposed to be doing to monitor these children who are just home alone with mom?
Well, I think that it depends, because first, if there is an open case, then there are social workers and there are attorneys and there's a judge who's supervising the entire situation. Those social workers are supposed to check in on a monthly basis when a child is placed with their parent. And they are supposed to be fully investigating, checking into the home, and reporting back to a judge what is occurring. What we don't know here is whether there was an open case or not. But I assure you that law enforcement is filing what it needs to do to open any case that has existed for this child with this parent, to get the background and find out what's going on. If the case is closed and a parent just has their legal right to parent and make educational decisions, then no one else is going to keep a close eye except the school. And it appears that this school, I mean, fortunately, somebody brought something forward because they hadn't seen this child in a year. And I think they have a right that, you know, they have to do that because they also rely on that for state funding. But maybe someone had a concern and that's why they brought it forward. At the same time, why isn't she on these trips? Why isn't she participating? Did they check in and make sure they got the information?
Mars Avenue residents say Ashlee Buzzard largely keeps to herself. Hearing the news of Melodee's disappearance, Buzzard's next-door neighbor, Casey Monreal, checks her surveillance cameras, believing they may have captured Melodee recently, but there was no sign of the little girl at the home in a long time. Since the report, police and CPS are frequently parked outside Buzzard's home and canvassing the neighborhood for footage.
That's something that should raise the red flag when you've got CPS parked outside your house. Child
Yeah.
Protective Services. Alexis Tereszchuk joining us.
Pretty bad.
CrimeOnline.com investigative reporter. Alexis, so the neighbor thought she may have seen Melodee in the last 30 days, but the surveillance video seems to indicate otherwise. What more do you know about the case, Alexis?
Well, I do know that the FBI has been brought in to work on this case. And when the FBI is brought in, it's not because this little girl is hanging out at a friend's house or CPS has her at a secret house and they don't know about it. There is a big concern that there is a fear for this child's life. The FBI is looking for her. They're trying to find her. Her mom brought her to the school in person in August to sign up for her independent studies, as they call it in California, homeschooling. And that's it. She hasn't been seen since. No one has seen her. And as the man said, who's been talking to neighbors, they used to maybe see her, but it's been a very long time. And with a child, you take them to the dentist, you take them to the doctor, you take them to McDonald's, you do anything in public with your child, and nobody has seen her. She has not been anywhere.
I want to go to Sydney Sumner now, following up on what Alexis Tereszchuk just told us. What can you tell me about a large suitcase and a box, Sydney Sumner?
Well, earlier, Aunt Elizabeth was telling us about Karina trying to make contact with Melodee's mom, Ashlee. When Karina was trying to make that contact, trying to check on Ashlee, see if she was okay, would tell her anything more about Melodee, you see Ashlee coming in and out of the garage back into the house, and she's carrying a very large pink suitcase, and there's also a box taped up at her front door. We heard from Bill Garcia that garage is stacked with boxes. It kind of looks like Miss Buzzard may be trying to leave town.
In November, a process server acting on behalf of Crown Asset Management noted he received no answer at Buzzard's home, which appears vacant but maintained. His notes say there are no decorations at the front door and the garage is empty. Neighbors confirm the home has been vacant for nearly 3 months. Last month, when Crown tries again, the server tells the court they could not locate Buzzard in Lompoc.
Well, from what I'm understanding, Bill Garcia, the home may look
Avoiding
vacant,
debt collectors,
but she's in there locked away. Bill, is that right?
That's what I'm being told by one particular neighbor who has a very good vantage
that
point
seems to be the MO.
on the house, and she is concerned for Melodee as well. And I didn't get a good read from the visit. The fact that the garage door has been open for at least 3 days in that disarray. I took several photographs of the home's exterior, of the contents of the garage from a vantage point, and again, tried to contact Ashlee. I have the ability, I've had the ability to get some of these types of subjects to actually confide in me, and I've been able to solve some missing persons cases in that effect. And I attempted that.
Go back to that one photo real quickly, please. This is a shot that we obtained. It looks to
Remember,
be
I had this in my first
the girl
video
and her mom, but this
if
photo
that's mom, that's
is
totally
old. Isn't that right,
how
Sydney?
different. It's about a year and a
Yes,
half old.
the photo is 2 years old at least.
Okay, this is the home.
Oh, right,
There's the
it might be
mom.
2.5.
There's the daughter at the
Might be
door.
May-
You see
May
her.
2020.
This is 2 years old.
Oh, where's that grandma?
Tonight,
Grandma.
where is Melodee? Bombshell tonight. Crime Stories now.
It's almost done.
To learn more and watch first on Fox 1.
Ashlee Buzzard is facing legal scrutiny over unpaid debts. The mom is taken to court in December and May for sums owed to Capital One. The December case claiming she owed nearly $3,000. Discover Bank also sought $4,200 from Buzzard in a now dismissed 2024 case. Crown Assessment Management has twice failed to serve Buzzard for unpaid debts.
To Dr. Bethany Marshall joining us, psychoanalyst out of LA. Dr. Bethany, money problems weigh in. When you've got a mom already stressed, and then these crushing money problems, what effect does that have on raising your child?
Well, interestingly, Nancy, money problems reduce a person's capacity for critical thinking, for problem solving, for looking to the future, for providing for others. So what it means to me is that she may have become more low functioning. And if she was less able to care for the child, and that child would be capable of telling other people about that, that would motivate her to cut the child off from outside people. Now, what I think is so interesting about what Bill said about the mother locking the door behind her every time she leaves the house, she is sequentially, incrementally isolating that child from the world. And you and I know, Nancy, that is a sign of abuse. Now, I'm not saying the mother is an abuser. I don't know if she is.
You can't do
but
that.
I'm saying that when anybody, whether it's a husband, a wife, a child, a parent,
You're being held captive,
isolates a loved
right?
one from community, from others, they are doing it for a reason. And what I wonder with the shaved head, the
You're under
response
house
when
arrest.
the relative came to the door, if there was an increasing paranoia, or this would fit the profile of somebody who has become increasingly paranoid, cutting themselves and the child off and what that paranoia meant in terms of her relationship with the child
Right.
and how she treated the child.
Rhonda DeCare joining me, founder of Missing in Action Network for Missing Persons Families. Rhonda, again, thanks for being with us tonight. Rhonda, what do we do now?
We have to find out what happened. We have to talk to any friends, any neighbors, exactly what everybody's doing, getting the word out, trying to look for her. We have seen this happen so many times with so many children, and it doesn't take us very long to figure out that something bad happened. And so right now, you would think if there was a friend or a neighbor or anybody in a grocery store that had seen her, that they would have already come forward. So it's getting very concerning.
Alexis Tereszchuk, what do we know that LE law enforcement is doing?
They, I believe, had a search warrant in the home. They didn't find anything that would give them any clue, but now the mom is not participating.
Alexis Tereszchuk, you're right, but when they did this, they performed the search on the home, there was no Melodee.
There was no Melodee, and there wasn't a glaring sign of a crime. They didn't find blood. They didn't find anything. They just didn't find Melodee, and there was nothing for them to do. There was nothing that showed that there had been something that happened to her traumatically in the home.
Okay, let me follow up with Lauren Johnson Norris, a high-profile lawyer out of Orange County. Lauren, when the cops execute a search warrant in your home, they don't see your child, they ask you where the child is, and you don't give an answer, what, they're just supposed to walk away and suck their thumb? I mean, where's the child? If the mom won't tell and the dad died in a crash, what are they supposed to do?
Well, I know it's really frustrating for all of us and for law enforcement. The search warrant likely listed certain items that were within the scope of the search warrant that they could look for. It doesn't override the person's Fifth Amendment right to not speak to police, which it appears she is exercising. But sure, it's frustrating to not be able to get the information from the one person who likely has that information. That's why law enforcement will need to continue to do its job, seek the juvenile court records to find more information about other placements where the child could be, other contacts that the mother may have, and seek all the evidence they can within the realm of the law.
If you know or think you know anything about the...
All right, so I'll just leave the tip line information up. And that's the end of that video. There's between, in Nancy's video alone and then the interview with Ashlee's mom, there's a lot of information and updates that we're getting from this. The thing is, with all this information, right, this is a lot. It only makes me have more questions. There's so many questions because there was another daughter that was taken away. How long was Melodee away from her mother? At what point was she given back to Ashlee? What is the CPS oversight when it comes to the cases? Was a case closed? How do we make sure that, is there something in a case where you go, you can't make an educational decision to homeschool your child, right? If you've had cases like this, an assessment that you're just not eligible for that. Is there a way to take away that eligibility? I don't know. Clearly we have a child that is missing that was not reported missing by the mother or anyone else. And who knows how long she would be missing had the school not recognized it, that she was not showing up for these programs for independent study, which good on them. Somebody recognized they were keeping track in some way. Severe mental health issues. And I just can't wrap my mind around how somebody with such significant issues that are well documented, from crashing a car with intent, which more questions about that. What is that about? To everything else that has occurred, losing your child and everything. I mean, how was a child placed back in your home under your care? How? And where did the system fail Ashlee as well? Because she clearly needs help. She's not able, it appears, to take care of herself. So where did she fall through the system as well? Because truly she also seems to have fallen through. And maybe she could manage by herself. Maybe. But to put a child who relies on a guardian, an adult, to take care of everything for them, right? Back in her care was totally inappropriate, in my opinion. Obviously, I do not know the details of what her cases were and what that looked like and the oversight and the visits. And maybe something got so much better that they were like, oh yeah, this is great. But someone that has a history of where the stability can be a roller coaster, how can you ever be okay with it? And Melodee was placed in homes where people loved her and cared about her, took care of her. So I would say, what is it? It's in the best. What's in the best interest of the child was clearly putting her back home with her mother, which you want them to be with the parents, right? I get that. I don't know that that was in the best interest of the child, clearly, because she's missing and her mother doesn't care enough to, who is the only one that knows what's going on here. She doesn't care enough to talk to anybody about it. She's the only one. We're being told that people don't go there, they don't go out, they don't really leave. She's the only one that knows what's going on. She can change this. She absolutely can change this. I mean, you got the FBI involved now. It's just, it's really sad. It's a lot of updates. I think there's if we're looking for some light here, is that there's an incredible family of Melodee's extended family that would love to have her, to spend time with her, to spoil her, to dote on her, to give her presents. And there's grandmas that just want her. She deserves that. She deserves to be able to have a childhood, to play with other kids, to socialize, to be educated, to learn, to have a life, to not be locked up in a home. She deserves so much. She deserves a family that's going to put her first and care about her and her needs. It's not complicated. What you have to do for a child to show up, that's most of it. Show up. Put them first. And you'll be okay. And Melodee is very lucky that she does have family that cares about her and is waiting for her to come home. So please, the scope has extended to all the way possibly to Nebraska. If you know anybody in that direction, make sure that you're sending them the missing child flyer. Her picture gets out there, and we want to bring Melodee home. The hope is that Melodee is safe and well, and she can just come home to her loving family. Or if she's safe somewhere else, it just needs to be worked out, right? And then Ashlee can go get the help that she needs. So before we do, I already took my own deep breath, but before we do our deep breath together, I just want to thank you for tuning in. It is much appreciated. As you can see, I am new to this journey, but I think it's important. I do believe that everything in the dark comes to light, and it's important to shed the light on that, right? And awareness needs to be brought to cases like this. All I ask, if you can, it doesn't cost you anything, just hit like, subscribe. That'd be awesome. That helps so much. That's all you got to do to help me out here. Okay? And that'll help push this in the algorithm so that there is more awareness, especially it's so concerning that this is now extending to possibly all the way through Nebraska. That really changes things here. But that just helps me out, helps the channel out, and support the growth of the light. That being said, let's all take a deep breath, because we've just been through a lot here. There's a lot of deep topics. So everybody breathe in. And then you're going to breathe out. All right. Everybody feel okay? I know it's tough topics, but gotta talk about them. We will not stop following this case, and I'll provide any updates that come about in the case of Melodee Buzzard. And we cannot wait to hopefully see her home happy and healthy with family. We want the best outcome out of this. So thank you for tuning into The Light. I am Marissa, and thank you for spending time with me.